1979. By the age of 21, Michael had already lived several lives. He had been a child prodigy, the star of Motown, and the leader of a family band. But that had only been the prologue. Michael was about to create the work that would redefine the history of music. The Moonwalk, Thriller, The Purchase of Neverland, and We Are the World. His marriage to Elvis Presley's daughter, Lisa Marie, accusations of child sexual abuse against him, the iconic anti-gravity lean from Smooth Criminal, his well-known feud with Paul McCartney, his children born through a surrogate mother, the Super Bowl, an overdose of tranquilizers, Heal the World. Prepare yourselves to ride the biggest roller coaster you have ever seen, The Extraordinary Life of Michael Jackson.
Welcome to Tremble Podcast, the place for music stories that thrill.
I wanted my first true solo album to be absolutely perfect. My childhood and adolescent albums with Motown hadn't truly been mine, and they hadn't performed well. This was my big opportunity. Quincy and I worked tirelessly. I included a song Paul McCartney wrote specifically for me, Girlfriend, as well as my very own compositions, Working Day and Night, Get on the Floor, and also my very first complete song, Don't Stop Till You Get Enough. Don't stop till you get enough. This song brought me my first Grammy as a solo artist, though that day I cried a lot, believing I deserved more awards.
Off the Wall was a true revolution, a vibrant fusion of disco, funk, soul, and pop that sounded utterly and completely futuristic. It placed 4 singles in the US top 10, an achievement no solo artist had ever managed to accomplish in history. But behind all that overwhelming success, Michael's profound loneliness grew deeper than it ever had before.
Making Off The Wall was one of the most difficult periods of my life due to the isolation I felt. The album included some ballads that I love, like Rock With Me.
Rock with you all night.
And especially She's Out of My Life, which spoke of that barrier that no one seemed able to cross to get to know and love me. Every time I recorded it, I would break down and cry. Quincy Jones would leave those sobs in the final version of the song because they were real.
And it cuts like a knife. She's out of my life.
I've always found it very difficult to meet girls. My first platonic love was Diana Ross, although the first girls I truly had a relationship with were Tatu Monial and Stephanie Mills. After that came the wonderful Brooke Shields. I returned with my brothers to record Triumph in 1980. The album included the hit, Can You Feel It?, a hymn to love and its power to wash away all the sins of the earth. It was my darkest composition to date, alongside Heartbreak Hotel, a true horror song. Even though I was recording with my brothers, my mind was already elsewhere, completely focused on my next album. I had one sole objective. It would become the best-selling album of all time.
To take full control, he had to do the unthinkable: fire his father as manager. It was a brutal conversation. Michael was firm. "All these years, you haven't worked for me, I've worked for you. It was over." On top of all this, their musical ideas were poles apart. It was time for him to fly. He hired the attorney, John Branca, who would become his friend and confidant for almost his entire career. Branca began by securing him a record contract with the CBS record label. Meanwhile, the Jackson family's life continued to be a whirlwind. In 1980, Joseph introduced them to the daughter he had fathered with his secretary. The girl was 6 years old when they met her. She was the only one who called him Dad. Michael and his siblings had never used that term. They simply referred to him as Joseph. Catherine, despite her religious nature, exploded. In a fit of rage, Catherine went to her husband's mistress and hit her. Everything would end with Joseph paying a lot of money to his secretary so she wouldn't sue the family. Michael never would have imagined his mother capable of doing something like that, but we all have a limit. The Jackson family saga was a constant drama.
The album Thriller actually began with Paul McCartney. We collaborated on Say, Say, Say together, and also the very first single from the album, which was The Girl Is Mine. While I was working at his home, Paul shared with me some insights about the business of acquiring song copyrights. I found it to be a truly fascinating idea.
That conversation would change the history of the music industry. In 1985, after 8 months of intense negotiations, Michael Jackson bought for $47.5 million the complete catalogue of the Beatles. Paul McCartney felt betrayed, and his friendship with Michael was over for good. But for Jackson, it was one of the most lucrative deals of his entire life.
Then came Billie Jean. It's about a girl who claimed I was the father of her child. The real story was even darker. The girl wrote me letters, stalked me, threatened to kill herself, and even to kill our supposed child, so we could be together in the afterlife. The girl ended up in a psychiatric hospital, but this business of attributing children to my brothers and me would happen to us on multiple occasions throughout our lives. With Beat It, I wanted a rock song that kids would love. The lyrics are a message against violence. For the video, I wanted to make a short film, to make it as real as possible. We hired real gang members from Los Angeles. At first it was a bit scary, but they turned out to be very kind. They kept asking me for autographs. The result was spectacular, don't you think?
Just beat it, beat it, beat it. Beat it, beat it, beat it.
Human Nature fue escrito por la banda Toto, en lo que personalmente considero una de las melodías más bonitas de la historia. Dime en los comentarios si estás de acuerdo.
Believe it or not, Thriller was very close to not being released. Quincy Jones and the record company informed Michael it wouldn't sell as much as his prior album, Off the Wall. Michael, absolutely furious, told them that if they didn't have faith in him, he wouldn't release Thriller. They immediately backed down. Michael would mix the entire album on 2 separate occasions, not content with the initial outcome. Thriller was finally released for sale in 1982. Sales started off quite strong, but one particular event would turn them stratospheric. On the 25th of March, in 1983, a very special concert was organized to commemorate the 25th anniversary of Motown Records. Michael agreed to perform alongside his brothers, but he had just one condition, that he would be allowed to sing a solo song, his iconic Billie Jean. She barely had time to rehearse her solo choreography because she dedicated more than expected to the performance with her siblings. 2 days prior, she decided to introduce a move she'd been practicing for a while. This step defied the laws of physics. It looked like you were walking forward, when in reality, you were walking backward. It was just like walking on the moonwalk.
I wore a spy hat to make my outfit cooler. After the performance, everyone was euphoric. My brothers hugged me like never before. A little boy came up to me with wide eyes and told me it had been magical. That impacted me more than any other praise, because children never lie. The next day, I received a call. It was Fred Astaire. He told me, "You are a great dancer."
The next day after the show, when Fred Astaire called my house, he said, "I saw the show last night, I taped it, I watched it twice this morning." And he said, "You were incredible, you're a hell of a mover, and you really put them on there." And he said, and I said, "God, thank you. It's so wonderful for you to say that, because I think you're the best." And that was my real reward, because I think he's...
Almost 50 million viewers tuned in to the program. Thriller's sales skyrocketed to 8 million copies in just a few weeks.
Thriller quickly became a true cultural tsunami. He revitalized a dying music industry. He had 7 top 10 singles simultaneously. He won 8 Grammys in a single night, a record. He sold 30, 40, 50 million copies, making a 25-year-old one of the richest and most famous people on earth. His sparkling glove and his white socks became true fashion icons.
Honestly, I never really cared much for clothes. My attention was always on the music and the dance. But it was fun and quite nice that wearing white socks became fashionable again because of me. Yahoo! It was time to shoot the Thriller music video. He wanted it to be an event, a spectacular horror short film. We doubled the budget. We also filmed a making of, a behind the scenes that sold 1 million copies on its own. Thanks to Thriller, the album surpassed 32 million copies. By the year 2000, it was already over 70 million.
But the video caused a crisis of faith in Michael. As a Jehovah's Witness, his church elders told him he was promoting occultism. They said nothing about the video's girl, though she was a Playboy model. Devastated, Michael, who just wanted to make a spectacular Halloween piece, chose not to publish it. His manager convinced him to add a disclaimer up front, stating the video wasn't a personal belief in the occult. Despite his global renown, in 1984, Michael would still go out in disguise twice a week, preaching from door to door with the Jehovah's Witnesses publication, The Watchtower. As was to be expected, some people eventually recognized him, but Michael remained silent due to the unusual nature of the situation.
No.
I couldn't be happier professionally, but the media scrutiny was brutal. I became more reserved and wary of my private life. They started talking about my face in a very cruel way. I'll tell you the whole truth. I became vegetarian for my health and lost a lot of weight, which sharpened my features. It's true I had several cosmetic surgeries on my nose. I even added a dimple to my chin. But comparisons with my childhood photos are very unfair, and the talk about my skin bleaching is just as unfair.
Here begins one of the biggest and most tragic confusions of his life. Michael Jackson began to develop vitiligo, a condition that destroys skin pigmentation, causing white patches. At first, he used dark makeup to cover them, but as the condition advanced, the only option left for Michael was to use lighter makeup to try and even out his skin tone. What is true is that his sister LaToya and he had tons of a skin whitening cream called Porcelana all over the house. They said Michael wanted to look like Diana Ross. He admired and imitated her, but that wasn't the reason for his surgeries, but his obsession with his appearance and not looking like his father. Towards the end of the 90s, due to multiple operations, Michael's nose collapsed, so much so that he had to use a prosthesis to simulate having a nose tip. Every day, he had to put it on and blend it with the rest of his face using makeup. Since this was a very tedious process, on days Michael didn't feel like doing it, he wore a mask. That's why there are many photos and videos where Michael can be seen wearing different types of masks. On one occasion, he would put on one that simulated a gorilla's mouth, just to scare people like a child. Michael also suffered from something called discoid lupus, which causes the scalp to darken. He was given painful steroid injections in his head to control it. He couldn't expose himself to the sun at all, which is why he always appeared with sunglasses, hats, and umbrellas. Ultimately, Michael was so troubled by his appearance that it was a miracle he appeared in public. The world only saw a man transforming into something unrecognizable, without understanding the pain and illness behind it. And the press created an unfair and totally false narrative of a man who hated his race.
My baby, it don't matter if you're black or white.
My friendship with the kids also became a topic of debate. I had no childhood and yearned for one, so I felt at home with them. They are pure, innocent, they are angels. One of my first friends was Emmanuel Lewis, the 12-year-old actor from Webster.
In 1984, tragedy struck Michael. While filming a commercial for the Pepsi brand, fireworks accidentally set his hair on fire. He suffered second and third degree burns across his entire scalp. It was truly terrifying. Doctors told him that if the flames had spread further, he could have died. Ashamed, Pepsi executives offered Michael the largest advertising contract in history, valued at over $1.5 million. Michael would use that money to establish the Michael Jackson Burn Center, a facility for burn victims. Michael never fully recovered, having to wear hair pieces or full wigs for the rest of his life.
Even though my parents were not together, we all still lived together under the same roof at our Havenhurst family home. Every time I crossed paths with my father, we argued. We distrusted the employees because we'd caught them stealing money from us. Even worse were some fans who tried to sneak into her house. Luckily, I had my friend and head of security my whole life, the ex-policeman Bill Bray. My mother, who at times felt great anger towards my father due to his religiosity, would eventually forgive him and return to him.
Joseph seized the moment to try and become the Jackson 5's manager once again. He proposed a reunification tour, given that Jermaine had left the Motown record label. The brothers then began to compose a brand new album, titled Victory. Michael didn't want to be a part of the album, but he still wrote 2 songs for it.
The matter of the tour, however, was an entirely different story. I didn't want to do it, but my brothers weren't doing as well financially as I was. My mother asked me as a personal favor. I accepted it reluctantly. Although I didn't agree, we hired Don King as a promoter. The tour consisted of 55 concerts that earned us $30 million. Don King would take almost 2 of those millions, and each of us $3.5 million. Finally, I would convince my brothers to fire Don King because he was clearly taking advantage of us. On that tour, I could truly see Thriller's success. People screamed like never before in my presence.
The Victory Tour was a resounding success, but also the definitive end of an era. When it ended, Michael knew he would never again share a stage with his brothers.
Disney then asked me to create an attraction for one of their parks. I joined George Lucas to make a 3-dimensional short film, Captain EO. To promote it, I came up with a crazy idea. I took a photo of myself in a hyperbaric chamber and leaked the rumor that I slept in one to live for 150 years.
It was a catastrophic mistake. The rumor went viral. The press dubbed him Wacko Jacko, the Crazy Jackson. His image as an eccentric grew. Michael wanted his entire life to be a spectacle, to create a myth, but it backfired, turning him into a caricature. In 1987, another story would be invented. He was going to buy the bones of the Elephant Man, John Merrick. These lies had a domino effect, and the press began inventing others, like that he wanted to marry Elizabeth Taylor, that he bathed in Evian mineral water, or that John Lennon's ghost visited him. All these rumors would lead to his expulsion from the Jehovah's Witnesses in 1987. The nickname Wacko Jacko would haunt him for the rest of his life. Michael was so much more than that. He didn't like to talk about it, but after every single performance, he would receive terminally ill children to give them a little bit of joy and peace. By the way, do you know what the King of Pop's favorite song is? It's none other than My Favorite Thing by Julie Andrews.
Brown paper packages tied up with strings. These are a few of my favorite things.
In 1985, I joined Lionel Richie to write an anthem for humanity, a song to help us fight hunger in Africa. We brought together 45 of the world's biggest stars for a magical recording session, all under the direction of Quincy Jones, Bruce Springsteen, Tina Turner, Ray Charles, and Stevie Wonder. Everyone was there together. Though I recorded my parts separately, I had asked Prince to do a duet with me, but he never showed up. I'm sure you all know the name of the song, We Are the World. It would go on to raise $8 million.
In the summer of 1989, the shadow of his family would again loom over Michael Jackson. His sister LaToya, 33 years old, would unleash a whirlwind. She announced her intention to write her memoirs, where she would supposedly reveal that Michael Jackson had suffered sexual abuse in childhood. Michael was utterly outraged.
She's free to get revenge on Joseph and Catherine, but she shouldn't use my ass to do it.
LaToya took her controversial campaign one step further. In 1989, she appeared completely nude in Playboy magazine. Later, in 91, she would again grace the cover to promote her explosive autobiography, LaToya, Growing Up in the Jackson Family. In it, she directly accused her father of abusing her and her sister Maureen. Years later, after LaToya divorced her husband Gordon, she admitted it had all been a fabrication. Half of the book had been written by him, and almost everything was lies, with one sole objective: to earn more money. In 1989, the Jacksons released their very first album without Michael Jackson's involvement, 2300 Jackson Street, even though Michael would appear in the music video for the song.
2300 Jackson Street.
The album was not a success, and the Jacksons simply disappeared from the music landscape. Janet Jackson, Michael's younger sister, was the one who connected with him best and admired him most deeply. Her solo musical career, however, was an entirely different story. Her 1990 album, Janet Jackson's Rhythm Nation, became an overwhelming success, solidifying her own iconic status.
I disappeared for 2 years to record my next album. I had a clear goal, to sell 100 million copies. I composed 64 songs. Queens and I chose 8, aiming for absolute perfection. I'll confess I don't know how to read music. I compose the songs in my head, then record them by singing each part. Then the musicians transcribe them. One of the first results...
Bad is a song about a young man from a difficult neighborhood who attends a private school. When he returns to his old neighborhood, the other kids cause him many problems, to which he responds, "I'm bad."
Man in the Mirror is a song that I truly love, and it's my message to the world. If you want a better world, you have to begin by changing yourself. It is one of the few songs in my entire discography that was not written by me, but rather by the talented songwriters Glenn Ballard and Sheeta Garrett.
Smooth Criminal was, quite simply, a direct manifestation of the emotional and psychological condition that Michael Jackson was experiencing at that precise moment in his life. The legendary song, originally titled Al Capone, is about a woman named Annie who was attacked in her apartment by a stealthy assailant. The song is inspired by a young woman from Paris found dead in the Seine River in 1880. A death mask was created from her face, which would become quite popular, serving as a decorative item in many French households. But if Smooth Criminal is known for one particular thing, it's for the move called anti-gravity.
Do you want to know the trick? In the video, we used harnesses and ropes to support myself and the dancers, but for the live concerts, we invented a special shoe with a groove in the heel that would attach to a peg coming out of the stage floor, allowing us to lean forward up to 45 degrees. Even so, the move was still very complicated because it required us to keep our bodies firm and perfectly.
For the duet, I Just Can't Stop Loving You, Michael Jackson was turned down by both Barbra Streisand and Whitney Houston, and ended up recording the song with the relatively unknown Sheeta Garrett. However, she wasn't entirely unknown to Michael, as she was a co-writer of The Man in the Mirror. Another great artist who would turn Michael down for this album, for the second time, was Prince. Despite 1,000 speculations, I Just Can't Stop Loving You was not dedicated to anyone in particular. By the way, it's the only song in Michael Jackson's career that he would also record in Spanish. The Way You Make Me Feel, and the full album would reach #1, but of course it didn't reach Thriller's heights. Iconic songs like Dirty Diana and Liberian Girl were criticized.
Dirty Diana is not about Diana Ross or Lady Di, even though it was one of his favorite songs. The song is about those admirers who are very insistent. You know what I mean? Liberian Girl is a track that truly celebrates the beauty of African women. The girls from Liberia were absolutely delighted with the song.
Bad was a colossal success, the very first album in history to have 5 #1 singles. But the shadow of Thriller was simply too long. Even though he received 4 Grammy nominations and Michael delivered a legendary live performance, he didn't manage to win any of the awards, which ultimately led to Michael ending the entire ceremony in tears. Similarly, the Bad World Tour was an absolute triumph, showing Michael Jackson at the peak of his powers.
In 1988, I published my biography, Moonwalk. That same year, I fell in love with a giant ranch of 100,000 acres in California. They were selling it for $35 million, but I haggled down to 17. I named it Neverland, like in Peter Pan. I wanted to build a childhood I never had, a magical place, a refuge, a world where I could be a child forever. Neverland had everything: an amusement park, a lake, a movie theatre, and even a zoo with many animals, from an elephant my great friend Elizabeth Taylor gave me, to tigers. What it didn't have were dogs. I'm afraid of them. They're small and they bite.
His famous monkey was Bubbles, for whom Michael had a very special affection. Unfortunately, his eccentricities often overshadowed his countless acts of charity. Millions donated, scholarships for children, and the rights to Man in the Mirror were entirely given to the terminally ill. Every 3 weeks, he invited children with cancer and other illnesses to his Neverland ranch to bring them joy. Michael visited more hospitals than he performed concerts. It's estimated that throughout his life, he donated over $500 million to various causes, in addition to creating the Heal the World Foundation in 1992.
Heal the Kids is about doing something about making a difference in trying to help adults and parents realize that it is our power to change the world that our children live in.
Michael Jackson's lawyer, John Branca, was a true business genius. He signed Michael to a $50 million record deal for a compilation album that would be called Decade. Branca also convinced the record label CBS to establish a new company named Jackson Records, giving Michael 50% of the ownership. Through this arrangement, Jackson would become the world's highest-paid artist, earning approximately 29% of the price of every album he sold. However, a new player was about to enter the scene.
David Geffen was a mogul, a friend of mine, who was part of the investment committee that advised me. Geffen convinced me not to release a compilation. I would record a new album.
The growing influence David Geffen exerted on Michael, and the animosity he felt for his lawyer John Branca, led Michael to make a momentous decision. In 1990, he fired John Branca. John had taken Michael's bank account from $1 million to over $500 million. Even so, he no longer enjoyed the King of Pop's trust. Michael Jackson's new contract with the record label CBS, now Sony, would be the biggest in history, but it would make him 100% dependent on his album sales. If he didn't sell over 40 million copies of each album, his income would be very low. At the peak of the universe, Michael Jackson had created his own fantasy kingdom to protect himself from the real world. He was the king of pop, an unparalleled creative genius, a philanthropist, and a multi-millionaire businessman. But he was also a deeply lonely man, trapped in a public image he no longer controlled, and tormented by the demons of his past. He had reached the pinnacle, but the darkest clouds of his life were just beginning to form on the horizon. The walls of Neverland would not be sufficiently high to keep the madness from getting in.
A sound that was more street and much harder. I really wanted my music to sound like the future. I felt it was my duty to always keep innovating, never repeating myself. It was an immense amount of pressure, but I truly owed it to my fans.
His first and boldest move was to break his legendary association with producer Quincy Jones. For his new album, Dangerous, released in 1991, he partnered with Teddy Riley, the architect of New Jack Swing. The result was an absolute success, led by the track Black or White.
The video's ending, the Panther dance. People didn't understand. It wasn't meaningless violence. It was my rage against injustice, against racism, against all prejudice. It was visceral art, a pure emotion I needed to let out. It hurt me deeply that they misunderstood.
The song Heal the World truly deserves a special mention all on its own. I have to confess to you that it is without a doubt among my top 3 favorite songs of all time. The day that Trembold's channel finally reaches 1 million subscribers, I will make a video sharing my personal top 5 with you. Let's return to Heal the World, Save the World. The song was entirely written and produced by Michael Jackson. As I said, a genius. Michael said in a 2001 interview that it was the song he was most proud of in his entire discography. The music video begins with a statement from Michael.
Think about the generations and to say we want to make it a better place for our children and our children's children so that they know it's a better world for them.
There is another one of those dangerous tracks that leaves you with a lump in your throat. The way Michael ends the song, where it sounds like he's almost crying, is insane. The song was used for the soundtrack of the movie Free Willy. Yes, the one with the boy and the whale. By the way, the album version includes a prelude with the Cleveland Orchestra. They are performing a section of Beethoven's Ninth Symphony. Another unforgettable song is one where we get to hear the legendary Guns N' Roses guitarist Slash. Michael dances to the rhythm of his guitar. It's truly a piece of music history. Give in to me. In 1993, Michael Jackson didn't just perform at Super Bowl XXVII's halftime show, he redefined it forever. His appearance became the most watched television event in United States history, with 120 million viewers. This, of course, firmly solidified his status as a true living icon. He was joined by a choir of 700 children when he sang Heal the World. Up to 1,500 children joined him on stage. The entire stadium displayed cards that read, Heal the World, the name of the foundation Michael had created. In my opinion, it's the best Super Bowl halftime show ever. What do you think? Tell us about it in the comments. The Dangerous album tour was another resounding success, an unprecedented spectacle. The HBO television network televised one of the 39 concerts that Michael gave, paying him $20 million.
I decided to speak with Oprah in 1993 to tell my truth. I couldn't take the lies being published every day in the media anymore. I wanted people to hear it directly from me. Yes, my father hit me. That was the truth. No, I'm not trying to be white. I have a disease, vitiligo. It was a relief to be able to say all those things out loud.
And my father and all of those things, it just made me very, very, very sad.
Did he ever beat you?
Yes.
Were you scared of him?
Very frightened. There's been times when he'd come to see me and I would get sick.
Is your skin lighter because you don't like being black?
And I have a skin disorder.
Purposely?
We're trying to control it, and using makeup evens it out because it makes blotches on the skin, and I have to even out my skin.
In the interview with Oprah, she asked Michael if he was dating girls. Jackson replied that he was in love with Brooke Shields. But did Michael Jackson and Brooke Shields truly have a romantic relationship?
Who do you date?
Well, right now it's Brooke Shields.
The answer is no. They were never a couple. Brooke Shields has clarified on more than one occasion that their bond was platonic and friendly in nature. They never had a romantic or sexual relationship. In that same interview, Oprah pressed Michael, asking if at 34 he was still a virgin. Jackson didn't respond. What he did tell her was that he'd feel incomplete without children, but for now, he was married to his music, dedicating 100% of his time to it. He also confessed to having been in love with Diana Ross.
Are you a virgin?
How could you ask me that question? That's something that's private. I mean, shouldn't be spoken about openly. When I was little, I used to stay with Diana Ross. I never said this, I always had a crush on her.
It seemed Michael had regained control of his life, but at the very zenith of his fame, a much darker and more devastating shadow loomed over him. 1993. Police raided one of Michael's many residences to gather evidence for a sexual harassment complaint from Jordan Chandler, a 13-year-old boy. The news exploded like a nuclear bomb, unleashing an unprecedented media frenzy. Actually, the accusation came from the boy's father, Evan, who had asked Michael for $20 million not to expose the alleged crime. Michael refused to pay him. For the past year, Jackson had been a close friend of Jordan, his sister Lily, and their mother June, who was separated from the father. They frequently visited Neverland. They even traveled with Michael to an awards ceremony in Monaco. It was true that Michael and Jordan had slept together in the same bed on multiple occasions. Jordan considered Michael his best friend and always denied anything sexual had happened between them. But influenced by his father, who disapproved of him spending so much time with Michael, he eventually told a psychologist that he and Michael had had sexual relations.
The pressure was indescribable. My head was spinning wildly. It felt like a nightmare from which I could not awaken. I was on top of the world, but I felt completely alone and vulnerable. That feeling of misfortune I would later express years later in the poignant Stranger in Moscow, a song about isolation and a misunderstanding.
Like Stranger in Moscow.
Stranger in Moscow is one of the songs that Michael wrote, using Russian symbolism to underscore the feelings of fear and alienation he experienced. The song concludes with a spoken narration, delivered in Russian by a KGB interrogator named Eduisniewski, who says, "Why have you come from the West? Confess. To steal the great achievements of the people, the achievements of the workers."
The child sexual abuse allegation was the most painful and truly horrible lie they ever spread about me. It completely destroyed a part of my very soul. The suffering was unbearable, both physically and emotionally. I was forced to cancel the entire tour.
This was followed by a skull operation for the burn he'd suffered years prior. Doctors prescribed powerful painkillers, Percodan, Demerol, codeine, as well as tranquilizers, Valium, Xanax, Ativan. Michael became addicted. It was the beginning of the end of his health.
My saving grace at that moment was Lisa Marie. She was the only respite amidst all that chaos. I needed to cling to something, to someone.
Lisa Marie Presley, the daughter of Elvis, had known Michael Jackson since 1984, even though she was 10 years his junior. They first met in 1993 at a private dinner held at a friend's home. Lisa then showed him some demo tapes she had recorded, hoping to launch a musical career. Michael told her he liked her voice and that he would help her. Lisa, even though she was married, started talking with Michael every day. He then began to intensely court her. Lisa said she fell in love with Michael Jackson because she felt he truly needed her, and because Michael showed her his real self, a funny and normal kind of guy.
I'm sorry, Joe. Is he in the light? His shoulders.
Michael Jackson is extremely ticklish. Okay, watch. Put Michael. What? No, watch. No, Michael, hold still. Watch.
No! Giving away all my beauty secrets. No, there are no secrets.
Oh, can I give you no? Do I have stories to tell?
On November 12, 1993, thin, exhausted, and emaciated, Michael would perform his final concert of the Dangerous Tour in Mexico. The remainder of the tour was then cancelled. Just a few days later, escorted by his friend Elizabeth Taylor, Michael entered a detoxification center. Upon his release, he would then face the most humiliating moment of his life. The police strip-searched him, photographing his genitals and recording his whole body to verify if Jordan, the child who accused him of sexual abuse, had accurately described his private parts. To make matters worse, his sister, LaToya, appeared on national television saying that Michael was a pedophile. By 2003, divorced from her ex-husband Gordon, LaToya would also say on television that she had invented it all to make money.
During the time of your marriage, you accused Michael of being a pedophile.
Yes. But I cannot and I will not be a silent collaborator of his crimes.
Gordon gave me this piece of paper and he says, read this. He goes, you better say this, you say this.
Forced you to say that your brother was a pedophile. Did you think he was?
No, I did not. The courts have proven that too as well.
I couldn't take it anymore. I needed the public scrutiny to end. And in early 1994, following my lawyer's advice, we reached an out-of-court settlement with the Chandler family, paying them the $22 million they had asked for before reporting me. The criminal investigation was closed shortly after due to lack of evidence. And during it, over 200 children I had crossed paths with over the years were questioned, and not a single one said anything bad about me. And certainly not in a sexual sense.
Freed from the first accusation, Michael rushed into Lisa Marie Presley's arms, marrying her in May of 1994. She would be his first wife. Lisa had 2 children and her own ranch, miles away from Michael Jackson's, so they didn't live together. They would meet at one house or the other, alternating their visits. Lisa was constantly trying to get Michael to open up to her. She said Michael always blamed others for what happened to him, even when it simply wasn't true. Lisa's case was the opposite. She took responsibility for anything that happened around her. The couple's first public appearance as husband and wife would be at the 1994 MTV Awards. Michael warned Lisa before they went on stage that he was going to kiss her. She completely refused, but Michael, as he always did, got his way and kissed her anyway.
Nobody thought this would last.
Lisa was absolutely furious. She felt like nothing more than a trophy girl. Later, they would give a TV interview to journalist Diane Sawyer. In it, Lisa played the adult, though 10 years Michael's junior. He'd just turned 36. While he acted somewhat childishly during the interview, as time passed, apart from sex, nothing else connected them. Michael kept inviting children to his home from time to time. He even wanted to take them on vacation, just like the Casio brothers. Lisa didn't understand it. She would say, "He already has me." In the 80s, Michael had met Debbie Rowe, his dermatologist's assistant. The doctor told Michael that he could call Debbie at any time of day for medical questions. That's what Michael would do. So much so that they started talking almost daily. Michael would send her signed albums, and she fell in love with him. It's said that Michael was also in love with her. All this was happening while Michael was still married to Lisa Marie Presley and constantly insisting she have children with him. Something she wasn't at all sure about due to the difficulty of their relationship.
No.
In December of 1995, Michael suffered a collapse while he was rehearsing. He was quickly taken to the hospital. Lisa had barely had contact with Michael for weeks, so when she went to the hospital to see him, they had a big fight. It was clear that their relationship was over, something that would be confirmed in January 1996 with their divorce. While all this was happening, Debbie Rowe became pregnant by Michael. It's not known if naturally or by artificial insemination. Unfortunately, she would suffer a miscarriage. Throughout all of this, the press, surprisingly, found out nothing.
My response to all that chaos and pain was the album History. It was my story, my truth. Every lyric was a scream. A scream with me and Janet, both against the system and the press. They Don't Care About Us was about injustice and brutality. I was hurt, I was furious, and my music reflected it.
History, Past, Present, and Future, Book 1, was released in 1995 as a compilation album that also included 15 unreleased tracks. Essentially, Michael's 9th studio album. It would be Michael's first album released with his new label, MJJ Productions. It sold 15 million copies. As expected, many of the songs referred to the false accusations of child sexual abuse, as well as the mistreatment Jackson perceived he had received from the media. History debuted at #1 on the US Billboard chart and in 19 other countries.
I've always been very concerned about the environment. I wrote Earth Song as an alarm signal that our planet is sending us.
Michael inaugurated the 1995 MTV Video Music Awards with a memorable 15-minute performance. Jackson embarked on his monumental History World Tour. To promote this event, colossal 9-meter-tall statues of Michael Jackson were strategically placed in various locations across the globe. That very same iconic statue is prominently featured on the album's cover artwork. In 2016, the original statue was installed at the Mandalay Bay Casino in Las Vegas. The tour generated $165 million, 82 dates where 4.5 million frenzied fans would attend Michael Jackson's third and final solo tour. However, not everything went smoothly on the tour. During a concert at Munich's Olympic Stadium, Michael experienced one of the most dangerous moments of his life. A stage bridge elevating him above the stage suddenly collapsed, causing him to fall 15 meters. The accident caused severe bruising to his back, hip, and legs, requiring him to take painkillers for the rest of his life. Of course, Michael continued the show as if nothing had happened. For him, his fans always came first. Meanwhile, his friend Debbie Rowe became pregnant with Michael's child for the second time, in this case through artificial insemination. Their original agreement stated that Michael would keep the child, but upon learning this, Jackson's mother, Catherine, convinced him to start a family. In that way, Debbie and Michael married in Australia in 1995, dressed in black before 15 guests. Prince Michael Jackson was born in 1997 and went with Michael to Neverland, where 6 nannies and nurses cared for him all day. Debbie did not live with Michael, by mutual agreement. Their second child together was a girl, Paris Catherine Michael Jackson, born in 1998. Although Debbie and he still got along well, they divorced in 1999. Michael would have his third child in 2002, Prince Michael II, whom everyone calls Blanket. His mother's identity is unknown. When the child was only 9 months old, Michael, staying in a German hotel and spurred on by the fans' screams, had the poor idea to hold the child outside the balcony, which led to a flood of criticism for the danger he had caused the child. Of course, Michael's action was totally innocent, but the danger was real. In 1997, Michael Jackson released Blood on the Dance Floor, History in the Mix, an album that contained 5 brand new songs and also remixes of various tracks from his earlier album, History. The single, Blood on the Dance Floor, was simply brilliant. Just like the impressive video and the short film called Ghosts, however, his private life overshadowed his music, with the album selling only 4 million copies. Even though at that time Michael had an estimated fortune of $300 million, his expenses were astronomical. His Neverland ranch alone cost him almost $1.5 million every single month. Although the tour for his last album, History, had given him a big boost, raising over $100 million only in the United States, Michael didn't want to go back on tour.
I feel exhausted during the tours. I lose almost 5 kilos per concert, as if I were running a marathon. I was getting too old for that.
But it's a difficult thing to tour. You go from one continent to another, you're sleepy, the time zones are different, you can't sleep after the show.
Well, can we just do it again without the negative saying that you don't like the tour? Just
I don't like it though.
I know, but
I go through hell touring. Okay, then I'll make it positive then.
Yeah, it's just.
And action, Michael.
I love to tour. You guys must No, but seriously, there is a good part of touring. It's the fans. I love my fans.
1500. Do you know what that number is?
No.
Es el número de pleitos legales a los que Michael se enfrentó a lo largo de su vida. Jackson tendría que hacer más de 500 declaraciones ante la ley por acusaciones de abogados, contables, empleados. Decenas le reclamaban dinero, pero esto no sería nada comparado con la tormenta que desataría el documental concedido al reportero Martin Bashir.
Martin Bashir had made a very nice documentary about Lady Di, so I trusted him. I opened my home, my heart, and he betrayed me. He edited the footage to make it seem like my life was something sinister.
The documentary was released in 2003, when Michael was 44 years old. As someone with Michael's media experience, he made the enormous mistake of showing his eccentric life to a journalist. Of course, the journalist exploited him completely, creating a report seen by millions of people. Although the documentary had historical footage, like seeing Michael climb the tree where he composed hits such as Heal the World, the rest was a scandal. From buying hundreds of thousands of dollars worth of items in a Las Vegas store, pointing at them with a finger, to bringing out his veiled children, or publicly confirming he still slept with children because he found them the most beautiful and innocent in the world. As you can imagine, the report was devastating for his image.
Yes, the children slept in my room, in my bed. Where's the harm? We are family, we share. To me, it was the most innocent thing in the world. Everyone twisted it and made it into something horrible.
When you actually invite children into your bed, you never know what's going to happen.
But when you say bed, you're thinking sexual. They make that sexual. It's not sexual. I tuck them in. I put music on. I read a book. Give them hot milk. We have little cookies. It's very charming. It's what the whole world should do.
Michael tried to counter the impact by publishing his own report, featuring Debbie, among others, explaining how happy their children were growing up with him. Unfortunately, he didn't succeed.
And the look on his face.
Michael rarely saw his parents, but upon seeing him so distraught after the report, they visited him at Neverland. During those days together, they saw how his children adored Michael. Jackson was a great father. He was happy with them, getting involved in their lives and watching them grow. However, unfortunately, many days Michael continued feeling very bad with his demons constantly tormenting him. Michael gave a speech at Oxford University in which he reflected on children.
And one day I was thinking about my own children, Prince and Paris, and how I wanted them to think of me when they grow up, how I always tried to put them before everything else. But there are also challenges in their lives. What if they resent me when they grow older? And at that moment, I pray that my children will give me the benefit of the doubt, that they will say to themselves, our daddy did the best he could, given the unique circumstances that he faced. And when I think about this, I am forced to think of my own father, and despite my earlier denial, I am forced to admit he did love me.
In 2001, to raise funds after the devastating attack on New York's Twin Towers, Michael brought together again a great ensemble of artists, recording What More Can I Give? And it would also have a Spanish version. Michael Jackson's final album would be released in 2001. Invincible stands as the most expensive album ever produced. It cost $30 million to pay more than 10 producers and nearly 100 musicians. Michael was in dispute with Sony Records, which made him much less motivated for this album. Soon after the album's release, Michael began a war against Sony's president and owner, Tommy Mottola, following his decision to abruptly end the album's promotion.
Tommy Mottola was a devil and a racist who used his African-American artists for personal gain.
Michael refused to tour with the album, which worsened the growing dispute with his record label Sony Music. Despite everything, the album sold over 8 million copies. Upon its release, it received much criticism, but over the years, it has found its place, recently being chosen by Billboard magazine as the best album of the 2000s. Although Michael co-wrote 14 of the 16 songs on the album, only one was entirely composed and produced by him, Speechless. The album was introduced with the magnificent You Rock My World. After that came Cry, one of those songs with which Michael sought to heal the world. Significantly darker is Whatever Happens. Without a doubt, the album's great anthem was Lost Children, a song about children who are in danger. The album sold 10 million copies. The end of 2003 and the beginning of 2004 were the worst periods of Michael Jackson's life. In November 2003, 10 years after his first accusation, police took him away in handcuffs again. Michael claimed police brutality, but a video proved it hadn't actually happened, turning American public opinion even further against him. However, in the rest of the world, the situation was completely different. His fans continued to strongly support him, as evidenced by the impressive sales of his 2003 compilation album, Number Ones, which featured the wonderful song with R. Kelly, One More Chance. But this album was an absolute failure in America. The accusation this time came from Gavin Arvizo, a boy with cancer Michael had often invited to Neverland, paying for his treatment until he recovered. The boy appeared in Martin Bashir's television report with Michael, which was a very bad idea. Tom Sneddon, the district attorney of Santa Barbara, where Michael's ranch Neverland was located, who had also led the first accusation years ago of child sexual abuse against Michael, had him in his sights, leading the accusation again.
I dedicated that song to District Attorney Tom Sneddon. He had led the investigations into false sexual abuse accusations against me in 1993, 2004, and 2005. For this topic, I had to change the real name to avoid legal issues. That's why I sing Tom Sheldon is a Cold Man.
In an attempt to calm himself and get some sleep, Michael became dependent on morphine and Demerol. These medications contributed to the slow, distracted, and somewhat distant demeanor Michael displayed on certain days during the trial. To make matters worse, Debbie Rowe, the mother of Michael Jackson's first two children, reappeared, requesting a review of their custody agreement. However, as a signed contract, it could not be modified.
When Debbie testified at the trial, surprisingly, she did so in my favor. It said that her testimony was what most convinced the jury. On June 13, 2005, the year I turned 47, after 76 days of testimonies, I was declared innocent.
Fans erupted in jubilation, but Michael, due to his medication, didn't even gesture. The victory proved to be no victory at all for Jackson, who sank into a profound depression and was admitted to the hospital just 2 days later due to exhaustion and dehydration. Upon his discharge, Michael would move to Bahrain, leaving his Neverland ranch, never to return again. The only thing he kept were his children. He fired his Neverland employees and didn't even contact his family, who had unconditionally supported him during the trial. However, for the first time, he hired a therapist. August 29, 2008, Las Vegas, Nevada. Michael Jackson, as was his daily routine, appeared in a wheelchair with his 3 bright children, aged 6, 10, and 11, without motivation, without any future plans, deeply in debt. On that day, he was turning 50 years old, with a single question on his mind. How had that boy, born in Gary, who once had everything, come to this point?
I reach out my hand to you. I have faith in all you do. Just call my name and I'll be there. Yeah. heart with joy and laughter. Togetherness when it's all I'm after. Whenever you need me, I'll be there. Oh, I'll be there.
To commemorate his 50th birthday, a compilation called King of Pop was released with a beautiful song together with Akon, Hold My Hand. Michael hadn't forgotten how to sing.
I felt my children were old enough to see me perform, and I was still young enough to do it, so I signed a $1 million contract to do 10 shows in London. The promoter will extend it to 50. Michael Jackson was back. This is it.
This is it. Here I stand.
The energy in rehearsals was incredible. You could feel Michael in his element. It seemed like the magic was coming back. It was going to be the biggest show in the world.
I'll be performing the songs my fans want to hear. This is it. I mean, this is really it. This is the final curtain call. I love you.
What no one could have expected would happen on June 25th, 2009. Just weeks before the concerts were to begin, Michael Jackson was found lifeless in his home.
There's Michael. The man is here. We're all here because of him. May that continue, with him leading the way.
The King of Pop died at 50 from an overdose of the anesthetic propofol, administered by his personal doctor, Conrad Murray. The world mourned the loss of the greatest artist in history, a man who reached the highest peaks of success and descended to the deepest hells of controversy. His doctor, Conrad Murray, was sentenced to 2 years in prison for involuntary manslaughter. Michael Jackson's funeral was watched by millions of people all around the world. The King of Pop said goodbye surrounded by fans, artists, family, and his 3 children.
Let's do it one more time.
Since his passing until 2025, 3 posthumous albums by Michael Jackson have been released. The first, This Is It, accompanied by a documentary video where you can see the rehearsals for what was going to be his return to the stage, would gross over $250 million. Next came the album Michael, released in 2010, featuring 7 unreleased tracks. Then in 2014, Escape arrived. The single Love Never Felt So Good, with Justin Timberlake, turned out to be a massive hit. Michael Jackson's children continue with their lives. The eldest, Prince, has dabbled in acting and runs a foundation. The second, Paris, is a well-known model and actress, while the third, Blanket, lives away from the spotlight. The 3 would sign a new contract with Columbia Records for $250 million, granting them the exploitation rights to Michael Jackson's music.
It's all for love. L-O-V-E.
Michael Jackson's life was a complex symphony of magic and madness, light and darkness. But despite difficult moments and controversies, Michael made humanity dream with his music. To his natural talent, Michael added tireless work. Always dedicated to his art, Michael was a truly warm and approachable person. His life, his music, his art, his influence, they are truly immortal. And for Michael Jackson, simply being the King of Pop was not enough. That's why he became the greatest artist throughout all of history. The story of Michael Jackson is one of the greatest success and the most profound loneliness. Give a like if his art has ever touched your heart. Tell me in the comments which song from his discography defines you the most, and please share this video so the complex truth of his story can continue to be told.
You know, support this channel, give it a like, and share it, just like me, those who love music.
Thank you very much, Trembles. We love you.